So, a discourse community is a group of people with shared goals or common interests. And you can read above John Swale's 6 characteristics of a discourse community. But here I want to talk about how being in a discourse community and discourse communities in general have affected my writing. And being in the class facilitation group to present about discourse communities really helped me understand better what a discourse community was. For instance, when I thought of a discourse community and how many I were in or which ones I were in, the first two that popped into my mind were being in a fraternity and being on a sports team at the university here. And while those do qualify, those are not the only discourse communities that I'm a part of here at the university. I didn't really understand what it was until we talked about it as a group before we presented, and that really opened my eyes that when we talked about this class being a discourse community and all classes at the university being a discourse community. And well, how has this affected my writing? Well, being in each of these classes, you have to do writing assignments that are way different from each other. For example, last semester I was in a chemistry class and we had to do a lot of lab write-ups and lab manual type of stuff. It's very scientific. Whereas in this class, we had to do blogs and free writes where you just kind of write whatever comes to mind first. So that's the main difference is, writing scientifically, very step by step, versus just writing the first thing that pops into your head. And both of these do affect my writing in different ways. You take aspects from each discourse community you're in and you apply them to your general knowledge and how to write. As you can see in my theory of writing, I talk about the main aspect of writing. The point of it is to get whatever message across you have to your reader or whoever it may be. That's the main point. That's why you write. Whether it's a text message like "I'll see you there" or a lab manual or a free write, you need to get your point across. And that's the whole point of writing. And how has these discursive communities affected it? I think that when I learn certain things from each discourse community, they pile up and they build on each other. And so I know how to write lab manuals and free writes, but it's more than that. It's how to learn. And just being in discourse communities, the more you're in, the more knowledge you get and the broader sense of writing you get. You have a broader knowledge and you know how to attack different things different ways. And I think this is a very important skill. And I think that the more discourse communities you're in, the better you really understand writing and you understand how it affects you. Another way it has indirectly affected me is, for example, being in a fraternity. Just this past year, there's certain phrases or lexis that I hear just being around the same group of guys all the time. They always say, be safe, be good, do well. And I can hear myself saying these things to other people now that are not a part of this discourse community. And so this phrases, this lexis that's a part of these discourse communities, I start to say, and it becomes a part of my vocabulary, and that's how I talk. And I can see that coming into my writing now because even if I'm just sending a text, I'll say, hey man, be good, like stay safe. And that's a direct result of being in this discourse community. I never would have said that without it. And that may be on a minor level, but it still definitely affects my writing. And there's phrases from sports teams that only people would understand there that I hear myself in my brain thinking of them. And I know other people wouldn't understand though. So I have to refrain from using them in my writing, but it still piles up all these little aspects, all these multiple genres. The more discourse communities you're in, the better it helps you. And as far as multiple genres go, it's these aspects as I go back to the classes, whether it's a lab manual, very scientific, or a free write, just popping into your head, it's different and it gives you a better understanding of writing as a whole and better understanding of how to write and how to think about writing.